Hoof picking seems like a simple task, but it's not always so easy to learn. After teaching hundreds of riders over the years, I've noticed the same mistakes coming up again and again. And most of them aren't just about cleaning the hoof better. They affect your safety, your horse's comfort, and even whether your horse wants to pick up their feet next time. Today I'm going to walk you through the most common hoof picking mistakes I see and show you the techniques I teach all of my students instead. Honestly, this is probably my biggest pet peeve as an instructor because I so rarely see this taught correctly. A lot of riders, especially beginners, stand with their hips way out here because they're nervous about getting close to the horse. It feels safer, but it actually makes everything harder. Holding a hoof away from your body requires much more strength, and notice what happens to your feet. Your toes naturally end up pointing toward the horse, right where the hoof is going to come down. Instead, you should stand close with your hips near the horse, almost touching. Your feet should point mostly forward or even slightly away from the horse, out of the danger zone. You'll be stronger, more balanced, and much less likely to get stepped on. I see this one all the time with the hind feet, especially with little riders. The kids barely lift the hoof off the ground, then end up bending all the way over, trying to see to pick it out. Pretty quickly, they decide to just put their knee down instead. And kneeling may feel easier, but it puts your face and upper body right in the kick zone. It also makes it much harder to move quickly if something unexpected happens. Instead, keep your hips close, lift the hoof high enough to support it comfortably, and let the horse rest the hoof in your hand. And if the hoof is simply too heavy to hold safely, that's okay. Ask an instructor or another experienced person for help. Personally, I always ask my students to let me see their best try before stepping in. I remind them that trying hard builds muscle for next time, and seeing where they're at helps me give them tips for adjusting their technique. But I'm always happy to help. Another thing I see all the time is riders barely scratching at the dirt. And usually they're either worried about hurting the horse or they're just not using enough muscle. And remember, the hoof is like your fingernail. You're not going to hurt your horse. So use firm, confident strokes to clean the grooves thoroughly. Then use the brush to remove the loose dirt. Pick like you mean it. If you're holding up here, the hoof is dangling instead of being supported. That makes the horse work harder to hold their leg up and gives you very little leverage. Instead, slide your hand down so you're actually cradling the hoof itself. It's much more comfortable for the horse and much easier for you to get the job done. Once you're finished picking, don't just let go. Imagine someone suddenly dropped your arm while you were trying to balance on one foot. Some horses, like Marengo here, barely react, but others lose their balance, bang their toe on the ground, and become reluctant to give you that foot next time. Always lower the hoof back to the ground with control, or at least give the leg a little squeeze before letting go to give your horse a chance to rebalance. Small moments like this help build trust. Some hooves need a little more patience. I like to start by cleaning the grooves on either side of the frog. Then I'll use the side of the hoof pick with a gentle back and forth motion to loosen packed dirt across the sole. If I find a stubborn rock, I'll work the tip of the pick underneath it instead of just stabbing at it. And sometimes I'll even feel with my fingers to tell the difference between normal hoof growth and something that actually needs to be removed. Once everything is clean, I also run my fingers over the frog to check for soft or squishy areas, which can sometimes be an early sign of thrush. And yes, it's perfectly okay to clean the frog, and you should. Just don't jab into it aggressively. Don't just grab at the fetlock. Run your hand all the way down the leg until you're supporting the hoof itself. This gives the horse a little warning that you're about to ask for their hoof. And yes, moving long hair out of the way is sometimes part of the process. Once the horse relaxes, gently stretching the hind leg slightly behind them often makes it much easier for both of you to hold comfortably. If the horse is resting heavily on the leg you want, don't just pull harder. First, ask them to shift their weight. I often use my hip or body weight to encourage the horse onto the opposite leg. And once they've shifted their balance, the hoof usually lifts easily with little effort. Young horses, old horses, inexperienced horses, or heavier horses like Diesel here sometimes need a little more encouragement. I'll lean with my body against the shoulder while tapping just above the hoof to ask for the lift. Once he gives me the foot, I keep it supported high and steady while he figures out his balance. If I immediately give the hoof pack every time he pulls a little bit, he'll learn that pulling away is the correct answer. Instead, I calmly wait until he's balanced before setting the foot back down. Hoof picking isn't just about cleaning feet. Every time you pick up a hoof, you're teaching your horse how that experience feels. Good technique makes the job easier for you, more comfortable for your horse, and much safer for both of you. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe for more practical horsemanship tips, and let me know in the comments what other horse handling skills you'd like me to break down next.